Okay, so let's talk creating a business that runs itself, not you. So a lot of this may seem redundant, but you may just need to hear it again, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to hear things 18,000 times before it sinks in, and I understand that. So the first thing that I want to talk about around this is, do I want to talk about that first? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that first, is time management. So when you think about how much time you're spending on your business, how much time you're spending in specific areas, how much time you are spending getting distracted, because we all work from our phone. Some of us work solely from our phone. So working from your phone is literally the biggest distraction that exists. And it's very hard to not get distracted. So you really need to figure out where you're spending your time, and are you spending your time in the right places? How much time are you spending in those places? Is that giving a return on your investment of your time? Or is it worth delegating that task? Or can you do something better in that area to be able to work more efficiently? Those kind of things. So I want you to do a time audit and really write down what your day looks like, where you're, let me turn you on do not disturb, which is what we're going to talk about. One of the things we're going to talk about. Okay. So do a time audit. It helps too if you have like the screen time notification or whatever turned on. So my phone tells me at the end of every week, I think it's the end of every week. Anyway, once a week, it tells me your screen time was up or down last week, and it tells you how many hours a day you were on your phone. And then you can go in there and you can look in your settings. I don't know how this works on an Android. I assume you can do the same thing, but I'm gonna have to move this up a little. Okay, there we go. But it tells me where I spent my time. It tells me, you can look at the breakdown. So for me, I know like typically my screen time is about 6 hours a day. And that's mainly because I am working on my phone almost the whole day. And so I can look and see, like, am I spending my time the way I intend to spend my time? Am I getting distracted too easily? Am I scrolling something too much? Like, I know about how long I should be on Instagram in a day, how long I should be on Facebook in a day, just judging by averages. And then I have specific times that I allow myself to be distracted or, look at reels or watch other people's stories. And that's not very often. I don't scroll Facebook and Instagram before bed. I don't scroll Facebook and Instagram in the mornings. I just don't. I don't really have a reason to. I'll scroll a little bit when I'm like checking my notifications and responding to messages and stuff. I really like to try to interact with some customers, at least like 1 or 2 customers a day. But other than that, like if I'm watching reels, I'm mainly watching to get ideas for my own reels. I do allow myself to scroll reels for entertainment purposes. I do allow myself, I don't really get on Facebook very often. I'm an Instagram person. So I'll scroll reels for entertainment. I allow myself that. I'll watch Netflix. I allow myself that. Me and my husband will watch our shows that we like to watch. We allow ourselves that. It's important to allow yourselves those things you enjoy. I'm not saying like, don't scroll social media unless you're doing it to make money. Don't watch Netflix. That is definitely not what I'm saying. We're going to talk more about that too. But anyway, it goes back to auditing your time. Audit your screen time. Audit where you're spending all of your time, most of your time. Is it spent well? Do you need to do something to not be distracted? Are you scheduling out your days? My days are scheduled out by 30-minute increments every single day. They're scheduled out by 30-minute increments. And that is because I have self-diagnosed ADHD. And if I did not do that, I would sit down and I would just freeze, or I would be all over the place, or I would be my brain. So your brain was not made to task switch constantly. There's statistics behind it, like how long it takes your brain to switch from one task to the next. And so multitasking is not good for you. It's not good for your brain. It's not good. It's not possible for your brain to fully focus on 2 to 3 things at a time. And I know that some people can do it better than others. For me, I'm awful at it. And again, I think it's because I have self-diagnosed ADHD. Like, I know I have it. I don't need a doctor to tell me I have it. I know I have it. So I have to schedule out my days, and I have to set alarms for everything and set reminders for everything. If it is not, like, my poor mother, she wanted me to call her yesterday morning and I totally forgot. You know why? Because it wasn't on my list. And that's what I told her. I was like, I'm sorry. If it's not written down, or if I don't have an alarm set for it, I'm not going to remember it. So you have to figure out how to schedule out your days and how to, be able to balance everything, remember things. Like, you have to be organized in that way. But audit your time. If you feel like there's not enough time in the day, audit your time, figure out where you're spending your time at, and is that worth it? Should you be spending less time on something? Should you be spending more time on something? Are you on your phone too much? Do you need to turn do not disturb on? Like, it really, really helps if you have a task that you need to sit down and focus on, especially if it is on your phone. So say you're doing Amy follow-ups, or say you're following up with everybody on your dream team. You need to be able to sit down and focus on that task. So turn do not disturb on, and then you won't be bothered. Now, for me, when I turn do not disturb on, I have it where family members can text me, my best friend can text me, and then anyone can call me, because not many people call me. But that's how I have mine set up. When my business hours are over, so my business hours are 10 to 4. That doesn't mean I'm going to be available for my team or my customers from 10 to 4, or for my team from 10 to 4. Customers come first, then team. But just because my business hours are 10 to 4 doesn't mean that I don't have a doctor's appointment that day, or I don't have a dentist appointment that day, or I don't have to go run an errand or 2 that day. You know what I mean? So, like, that doesn't mean that just because my hours are 10 to 4 that I'm going to answer you from 10 to 11. So, but after I have it automatically set in my settings in my phone. At 4:05 every single day, my phone automatically goes on do not disturb, and it does not come back on until 10 the next morning. And that is so I won't be distracted by notifications. That allows me to pick up my phone when I want to, when it's good for me, not because I hear a notification come through. Now, I've already trained myself years ago to not pick up the phone when I get a notification. That's something you have to train yourself to do, because your body normally is going to just react, and you're going to be like, oh, my phone went off, I got to check it. You can get yourself out of that habit. Trust me, you just practice it. But I like to be even more intentional with it and turn do not disturb on. And that way, when I'm off work regardless of what notification I hear come through or what customer is messaging me. And I feel like, oh, I need to pick up the phone. You don't. There's no Scentsy emergency. Nobody's going to die. They're going to be fine till the next day. And if you don't teach people to respect your boundaries, they're never going to. You have to respect your own boundaries to train anyone else to respect them. Your customers are going to respect you more. Your team is going to respect you more when they see that you have those boundaries in place and you actually take them seriously. And then your team is going to pick up on those habits. Your leaders are going to pick up on those habits. They are going to replicate what they see you do. So if you have no boundaries, you're constantly running yourself in the ground, you're telling your team, I'm not available during this time, but then you respond to them during that time, that's not okay. And they're going to be like, oh, well, she doesn't take her business seriously. They're not going to take you seriously as a leader. And then they're not going to replicate what they need to replicate in their business. Yeah, girl, I've been there. So I love that. Cassandra, this is a great example of someone who is not like me, who has my kid in school all day, and I can set specific hours during the day that I can work. Cassandra, she said she has set her business hours 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. That is what works for her and her family. That will change over time. And that's the thing. You've got to be willing to adapt, evolve, change your business hours to do what fits for you and your family. But honor those hours for yourself, for your family, for your mental health. Because if you don't honor those hours, it's going to create resentment for you. You're going to resent your business. Your family's going to resent your business. Your kids are going to resent your business because their mom's face is always in their phone because they're working. And it's just going to, it's not going to be good. You're going to resent it, and then you're not going to be taken care of. Your mental health is it's going to go down. Everything is just going to fall apart if you do not honor your hours, your boundaries. That is the most important part of being a leader and running a business. Because like I said, all of you are directors and above. So that means you are running an actual business. Businesses close for a reason. You're not open 24/7. You should never be open 24/7. And you're one person. You don't have employees helping you. You don't have assistants. You don't have all these things. This is just you. You are supposed to be running your personal business, taking care of your customers. You also are supposed to be posting on your team page every day. You're also supposed to be taking care of your team. You're also supposed to be checking in with your front line. You're also supposed to be coaching people. You're also supposed to be training your team. All these things, plus you have a personal business side of things where you have to do your own taxes. You have to order your own business supplies. You have to do all these things. You are one person. So if you don't have boundaries in place, guess what? You're going to constantly be burned out, because what you're doing is you're hustling. You're hustling because you're in a scarcity mindset, driven by scarcity, and you're working yourself to the bone, and you're going to resent your business. You're not going to have any joy left. It's going to strip all the joy of your business. And then you're going to be like, wow, this feels way too much like work. Why is it not fun anymore? Trust me, I've been there. All these things I'm telling you, I've been there. See, and that's the thing too, Crystal, like you have to be flexible with your hours. And that is the beauty of this business. We get to work this however we want. And if we need to be flexible because our days change day by day, then that's what we have to do. And that's great. But yeah, don't work past your hours. Okay. Hey, Cassidy, I see your face. So this is something that Brittany Bartow actually is going to train on our next leadership call. Hey, Brittany. And I'm not going to go too into depth on it because, like I said, she's going to do she learned this at Director Boot Camp, and I just so happened to watch a training a few days ago that was on this same topic, and I was like, that's really helpful. But she's going to go into more depth on what she learned at boot camp, which, by the way, if you're a director above and you've not gone to boot camp, you must invest in that, and it is not even that expensive at all. It's very cheap, actually, especially if you compare it to like Star Director Summit Approach and SSD Summit. For SSD Summit, we just paid $1,000 a piece to go to Disney World, and that's not counting flights. So, and food and stuff that we have to buy when we get there. Boot camp's like what, $150, if that, $100. And then that's including your hotel. They put you in a hotel. They do all these special things for you. You get to go see where Scentsy started on the sheep farm. You get to do all these things. You gain all these friendships. You get to go to the Willow Bridge lake house that Heidi and Orville own. It's beautiful. You get to do all these things. That includes food too. Like she said, like cheap, $100. All you have to do is pay for your flight in addition to that. Come on now. Or if you live close to Boise, then I almost said then walk. Don't walk, then drive. So this is called the Eisenhower Matrix, and I love that she's going to share this with us next month on our leadership call, because that's going to be shared with everyone leading above. So all of your leaders can learn about this on that call. But it teaches you to categorize your task 4 different ways. So you have, this may be backwards. You have urgent, you can Google this though, if you want to see this, like this model, but you have urgent and not urgent, and then you have important and not important. So like this says the first one is important and urgent. So that's the one you do. And then this one you have important but not urgent. So then you can, let me start with urgent and important. So urgent and important, you're going to do, so it says do tasks with clear deadlines and significant consequences if not completed in a timely fashion. So for example, yesterday I knew I had this Zoom to do at 10 a.m. So I had to make sure that I got my content ready for y'all so that I wasn't scrounging this morning at 9 o'clock, an hour before the call, trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. So that's something that was urgent and important. So I had to make sure I did that because I had a deadline for that. Important and not urgent. So this one is tasks with no set deadline, but that bring you closer to your goals. And then you've got urgent, but not important. So those you can delegate. These are tasks that need to get done, but they don't need you in order to be completed. So this is going to be for us, this is going to be things like labeling things, making samples, sending out mail. You don't have to pack your own mail. Somebody else can do that for you. I'm trying to think what my assistant does. Just things that don't require you. Now, things that require you are going to be your customer follow-up, your, coaching your team, obviously, only things that you can do. So, and then things that you can delete are going to be the column for not urgent and not important. So those are going to be tasks that distract you from where you're going. Those are going to be the fluff things. Those are going to be the things that are not necessary. Like say you're spending hours on flyers, but they don't actually have to be made. Say you could go in our group Google Drive and take the flyers that I've already made for you, or somebody else has already made for you. You're wasting your time. If you could be just going and spending 5 minutes grabbing that instead of spending a whole hour making your own, when you could spend that hour coaching your team members and making money. So you got to really think about, and that goes back to prioritization. Brittany, that coffee looks so good. That is, like I said, she's going to dive even deeper into that on our leadership call. And I'm sure she will have like even better specific examples, but y'all are directors and above. Y'all get what I mean. I'm sure you get what I mean. You know how to prioritize your tasks. You know what makes you money and what doesn't. You know what's a time sucker and what's not. So, I think, let's see, I already went over this. Turn off notifications. That's another thing. So even as simple as, so if I had all of my Facebook notifications turned on, it would be a hot mess. I would constantly be scrolling through there, trying to sort through my notifications to see what I actually need to read. One example of what I do is if I comment on anything that is going to have a lot of other comments, I immediately turn off the notifications for that. If I'm posting Wahoo Wednesday, y'all know how I do that. I post sponsors, 200 PRV, 300 PRV, 500, 750, 1,000, all the way up. I turn off notifications as soon as I post all of those. I turn off notifications for every single one of those posts because it's going to be, congratulations, 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 which is amazing. Everybody's cheering each other on, but I don't have time to sift through all that, if that makes sense. So these are the things you have to think about when you're running a big business like y'all are doing. Maybe your business doesn't seem big yet, but it is, and it's going to get bigger. It's only going to get bigger. So you need to start these habits now. Turn off notifications, use your do not disturb to your advantage, even if you have to just use it to train yourself to put your phone down. Set alarms, plan hourly or 30-minute increments like I do. And when you are planning like that, give yourself more time than you think that task is going to take. Because life happens. Mom calls you and you talk for an hour. Your husband forgot something at home, so you have to take it to him to work. So many things can come up. Your kid gets sick at school and has to come home. Like there's so many things. So allot yourself more time than what you need and prioritize your tasks. Make sure you're doing the most important first. Say you've got 4 tasks on your list. Do the one first, not the one you want to do first. The one that is most important. So for example, yesterday, the one that was most urgent and important was training content for this call. So that was first on my list. I got that knocked out. And that way I had that done. That was the most important. If something would have came up and my whole day got screwed up, I could have pushed the other ones later or until today. So prioritize, and I'm telling you, it will take so much stress off of you. Takes so much stress off of you. Focus on one income producing activity a day and then go from there. Like start with one, go up to 2, 3, however many you can do. Whatever your business hours look like, however much time you have for your business, but at least one income producing activity a day. When you're trying to figure out like what you want your boundaries to be, what you want your hours to be, did my necklace just fall off? I must not have ever even latched that, and it's just been hanging on for dear life. If this ain't real life, I don't know what is. I have to put it back on. I wear this thing constantly. All right. So get clear on what you want for your life. Like what do you value most? Personally, in your family? What are your family's values? Do y'all really honor time at the dinner table? Do y'all really honor spending? For me, when my son gets home from school, he wants somebody to play with him because he's an only child. And to me, that time is very valuable. So like when he gets home from school, me and my husband, I take 30 minutes to play with him, or at least sit in there with him and pretend like I'm playing, like whatever, just spend some kind of time with him while he's playing. Or, you know, if he wants to watch a movie or if he just wants to rest, whatever, I'm spending that time with him and I'm not on my phone while I'm doing it. When my husband gets home from work, he allots the same thing. As soon as he gets home from work, he goes straight in there and plays with him, because that's what means a lot to Carson. That means a lot to us, to have that family time, like dedicated time where we're just spending that with him, making him feel special and loved, and not with our phones in our faces. So that's important to us. What's also important to me is never working when he's home at all. I know a lot of you can't do that yet, but you can work when they are napping or when they're asleep or whatever, if that's important to you. I just am not, I don't like it. Maybe it's a thing, a personal issue that I have, I don't know, but I do not like to work while he's home. So that's why my hours are what they are. I don't work before he goes to school. I don't work after he's home from school. And I used to have to work after bedtime. And that's just what I had to do when I was building my business. I worked during nap times. As a new superstar director, I was working during nap times and I was working after he went to sleep. And that's how I built. But look where I am now. You've got to be willing to work those hard hours to create the easier hours. So think about your values. Think about what's most important to you and your family. Put that in place first. Other non-negotiables for me, that is getting up and getting my workout in first thing in the morning. Even if I woke up late and only have 10 minutes, I do something. That is important for my physical health, my mental health. It's also important to me to have healthy food for us to eat. So I have to spend an hour a week, as much as I freaking hate it, meal planning and ordering groceries. I don't go to the grocery store. That's another thing. Like, eliminate the things you don't have to do. That's another one of those things. It's not just in your business, but in your personal life. Like, I'm going to be hiring somebody to clean our house. I'm finally just doing it because I'm such a control freak. I was always like, nobody can keep it as clean as I can, and making up all these excuses. But yet when it comes time for having a birthday party at home or hosting a get together, I'm stressed to the max because my house isn't clean and all the things. And like, I'm biting everybody's head off. And so I know I have to just do it and get somebody else to clean my house. I will live and I will be so much happier, and my family will be so much happier because I'm not biting their head off about the house being dirty. So all these things, figure out what means the most to you, figure out what's most important to your family. Then you plan your business around that. Then you plan your business hours around that. We are not here to work our lives around our Scentsy business. And it can really become that way when you start to grow a big business, especially when you promote to director. your team starts growing more, you feel like you have more responsibility, all these things, do not let it take over your life. Keep it scheduled around your life. That is why we do this. We do this to create flexibility. We do this to create freedom for our family. So the way you're telling your team to work their business is how you should be working your business. And if they're seeing you constantly answering at 12 a.m., they're seeing you not honoring your business hours, they're seeing you stressed out, they're seeing you hustling. There's a difference between hard work and hustling. I work hard during my work hours, and then I'm off and I rest and I do things with my family. I take care of myself first thing in the morning before I look at my phone. I listen to personal development in the mornings before I look at my phone and check my notifications. If you're doing all these things, your team is going to replicate that, and they're going to want your job. You have to make them want your job. If you're doing all those things that I was saying before about, you're stressed out constantly, you're always this and that, your job does not look fun. Nobody wants that job. You might as well be working for somebody else. So keep that in mind. Figure out your values for your family and yourself. Figure out what's most important to you. Allow for rest. Allow for rest. Allow for rest. Allow for rest. It took me way too many years to figure that out. It took me burning out so many times to figure out, maybe you should actually rest like God intended for you to. When your body's telling you it's tired, maybe you should actually rest. It took me way too long to figure that out. And I was so much happier. I'm so much happier now. I have a bigger group than I've ever had, and it doesn't change anything because I prioritize. I delete things that I can't do anymore, or I delegate it because I am blessed to have an amazing assistant now. Like, it doesn't matter how big your group gets. You're gonna delete things and you're gonna delegate things so that you're not actually working more. You can create a life where you're working less and making more. So put your rest and your self-care before anything else. And I know that's hard, but you have to. If you want to be happy and you want to have joy in your business and you want to keep that joy, then you have to put yourself in your rest and your self-care first. Another thing is creating a team page that runs itself and does not rely on you. I'm not going to say it doesn't need you, because you have to post in your team page every single day. Now, if you're on vacation or if it's the weekend and those aren't your business hours, you don't have to post in your team page. You can even, if it makes you feel better, you can schedule things out, for your off days, and that way something is still posted, but don't get on there and respond to it. Turn notifications off, do something. Don't respond to it because you're not working. You're off. Delegate, to some other leaders. Hey, will you please share this on this day because I'm going to be off or I'm going to be on vacation. You all know that empowers your leaders. That creates leaders. That builds and develops leaders when you're instilling that encouragement into them and saying, hey, you have value to add to this page. Please contribute this. You have to train your teams on what your culture is on your team. And on your Facebook page for your group, for your team. You have to train them on that. You have to teach them that. You have to, if you have a contribute more than you take community like we do, and you have a how I'm working hashtag like we do, you have to train them on that. You have to tell them, hey, can you please share that? I did this like 3 times yesterday because I was checking in with some frontline that I've been working with one-on-one. And I was, having a conversation with them. I was asking them how they've been working, what's working for them. They told me, and I said, hey, can you please share that on our team page? Because that would be very helpful to everybody else. And just make sure you use the how I'm working hashtag. It's as simple as that. Tell them what you want done. Now, they're not going to do those things if they don't respect you. They're not going to do those things if they don't feel like you are pouring value into them. Because why would they pour value into you or help you out or contribute to your team page if they don't feel like that's being reciprocated, if that makes sense? So, and a lot of times it's not, you just have to stay consistent with it. Like you may have to ask somebody 18 times, like I said, tell them the same thing 18 times before they will do it. They may not believe in themselves enough yet. They may be scared to share that, especially if you're asking them to go live or help with a training or do a training. And these are the things you need to be asking your team members. I don't care if they're a certified consultant. We can learn a lot from certified consultants. There's a lot of things I did as a certified consultant that I don't even remember anymore because I don't work like that anymore at all. I'm not going out in public trying to give out samples and do all these things because that terrify me. I don't have to do that anymore. And yes, it still terrifies me. I hate it. I don't people well. I'm social on social media and that's about it. I love that, Crystal. I don't love that for you, but I love what you said. She said, it's so important talking about rest and self-care. She said, too often I wait until I'm maxed out and falling apart. So I'm really recovering, not resting. That's so good. What happens if we're doing all the right things as directors, but our leaders are only full of excuses for not leading? Recruit more people and build more leaders, girl. We have a group of 70, and besides myself, there's only one leader that's consistent. It's creating an unstable group and showing bad habits to our new recruits. You got to just keep developing more leaders. I mean, look at the ones who are in their first 70 days earning shooting star, sensational start. You have to, who are your top sales? Who are your top recruiters? Who are, who's sharing? Who is working? Point blank, like who's working? These are the people that are your rising leaders, and it's your job to develop those leaders. So you have to work with them, help them create plans based on whatever their goals are, encourage them, tell them what they're doing great, recognize them, ask them to contribute, keep doing it. You just got to keep doing it. That's the thing about, especially being a new director. I remember being like, well, why does everybody go to my superstar directors group and contribute there, but they're not doing anything here, or they're not, listen, we have 1,600 people in our Facebook group because some directors have their own pages and they're not on mine anymore. Sometimes I'll post something or somebody will post something, it'll get like 1 like. Not everybody's always going to see the Facebook post. They're not always going to see the notifications, first of all. But it's just like when you're growing a customer base, when you're posting on your VIP group, or when you're posting on your personal page, or when you're having join conversations, or when you're trying to book parties and you have to ask 28 million people before you get 3 parties booked. It's the same thing. Just stay consistent. Stay consistent. This is the best thing you can do, is lead by example, by doing the work and showing them how you're doing it. You have to set that example, like keep doing that until they pick up on, okay, well, maybe I should do this, and keep asking them to do that until they finally do. My biggest thing has been co-piloting my leaders instead of coaching them. I'm having to learn to step back and let them figure stuff out. That's actually on my notes. I'm asking more questions and I'm telling them how to work. Yes. So when you're working with people one-on-one, when you're coaching them, whatever you want to call it, mentoring them, you're coaching them. But when you're doing that, you need to be really asking them questions, a lot of questions, more so than just telling them what to do. You need to, it's important to like get down to the nitty gritty of, why are you not doing this? Is it something that's holding you back? We got to figure this out. A lot of times they know what to do. There's just something holding them back from doing it. They're not dreaming big enough. They don't have a big enough why. They're scared, like all these things. So it's up to you to pull that out of them and figure out what's going on and how to empower them, encourage them to develop into the leader you know they are. Help them believe in themselves as much as you believe in them. And just sending them resources, but not just like with your team members, not just your leaders, but with anybody, sending them the resources, directing them to where it's at, telling them, hey, here's where you can find this and that. And if they keep coming to you and asking you that same thing over and over, don't waste your energy with that. If you direct someone somewhere 1 or 2 times, they should know where to find it next time. So I noticed a huge shift in my business. Like I used to get way more messages asking random questions when I had a smaller team than I do now with a team of 400 and a group of almost 1,900. So, and that is because I started really focusing on creating independent business owners or independent consultants, independent leaders, creating leaders, not leeches. Leeches ain't, they're not it. They'll just suck you dry of all of your energy. Those are the people that only want something they only want something from you when they need it, but they won't be there for you when you need them. Yes. Thank you, Brittany. I'm so glad. I didn't even know you were doing that, but I'm so glad you stopped that. So, you can't coach the same people every month. You need to be coaching someone quarterly at minimum. Because first of all, the things that, they're putting on their action plan, or however you're coaching them, the things they're putting on their action plan can't just be done for a month. They have to be done for 90 days to even see if it's going to work. We can't do something for 2 weeks or 30 days. And because when you do something, say this month, the results from that are going to be seen 2-3 months down the road. So it's so important to only coach people every quarter for that reason. But also, if your team's growing consistently, you can't possibly coach the same people every month. You're going to be coaching like 25 people every month. Not really 25, but a lot more than you need to be coaching. And that's not time well spent. So, the other thing is systems, and y'all know this. And if you're a director and you don't have systems in place, you're doing it wrong. And now is the time. You should have already implemented systems before you got to director. But if you're a director and you do not have systems in place, or if you don't have systems in place that are working, you have to spend the time to get those in place. It's going to be time consuming, but you have to do it. You have to do it that one time. And then from there on out, you're saving yourself so much time, so much headache. You're working so much more efficiently because you're actually keeping up with things. You have every system you need in our Google Drive. Every system you need. Look under the systems and tools folder. There's also a leader tools folder, and there's a director folder, like things that may be a little more advanced that you need that a lead consultant doesn't need. We have every system in there that you could need. You may need to change it up to make it your own. Let me just tell you how to do it. So if you go to the group Google Drive, you click on a document, you're going to click file, and you're going to click make a copy. You cannot request access to it. You can't just download it. You have to go file, make a copy. And then it's going to make a copy to your own Google Drive. And then you can edit it. You can do whatever you need to it to make it your own. You can use it digitally. You can use it on your computer. You can use it on your phone. There's a Google Drive app. It's all in a cloud. It's the best thing ever. Like, this is the only thing I have ever used. How long? 2 years, I think I've been using this, maybe even longer, that has actually worked for me the whole time. I've had to tweak some things here and there, but I've been using the same systems for years now. Finally, used to, I had to change my systems like every 6 months because I couldn't keep up with them. So it's important to get something in place now that you can use as a superstar director, that you can use with a group of 2,000 people. Because there's no reason you need to just keep changing them up constantly. Like, get something in place, spend a day or two getting it all in place, figuring out what works for you, and then forever and ever, amen, you can use these systems. So that's time well spent, because that's the foundation of your business. Let's see. Oh, so like I said, you can use them digitally on the computer, or you can use them on your phone, or you can print them. So if you still want to do some things on paper, or still do everything on paper, you can print them off, or you can get a notebook, like just a regular notebook, and write down potential recruits and write them down, host and write them down. Like, for me, I still like to write down. I have this page in my happy planner. So I still, each month, like to write down, where are you? Who I'm working with. So like I write down working with. And when my office is finished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like acrylic boards where I can write everything down on the wall. So like I can track everything. I can write everybody's names down, all the things in one place up there where I can visually see it all the time. But I write down who I'm working with, what their current title is. I'll put a little note out to the side about like why they're doing this, what they want out of their business, that kind of thing. I just like to write that down on paper. That's the way I best track it. And the way I keep up with who I'm working or identify who I'm working, because if you're not identifying leaders every single month, that is an income producing activity for a leader. Your business, you are a director or above, your business from here on out relies on you building leaders, developing leaders. And that's not going to be done by luck. It's not going to be done by just you showing the way and working. That helps. It's going to be done by you intentionally working with each person, identifying who's your top PRV earners, identifying who are sponsoring, identifying who's being paid at title. Yeah, Brittany set a goal of 1 new director a year. I love that. But it's going to be done by intention. It's going to be done by being intentional. And if you are not identifying who you're going to work with and working with them every single month, you have to start doing that. I did not learn that until a year in, 2 years in maybe, to being a superstar director. And guess what happened? I wasn't paid at title as superstar director for like a whole year and a half. And then someone told me, Chloe Cox, that you have to coach people and be intentional. And when I started doing that, my first gen directors went from, I had lost a couple. They went from 2 or 3, I think I had 3 left. So not even all the ones I needed to be a superstar director at that point. Went from 3 up to 8. And now we have 25 or 26 directors in our organization that go deep. Because y'all are insane. Y'all are amazing. So that's what happened when I started being intentional with running reports, looking at my top PRV earners. Like when I'm doing shout outs every week and I see somebody's at 500 PRV and it's like the 5th of the month, I'm working with that person. If I see, any of my top PRV earners, when I'm doing my monthly recognition, when I'm already running those reports and exporting addresses and stuff, that is when I write down my list of who I want to work with. So that's the easiest way to do it, because you're doing it all together. You're working smarter. You're already running the report. You already have the names pulled up. Go ahead and write down who you want to work with, or just print that list out. I mean, whatever works. That's even quicker. So be intentional with developing your leaders. I'm telling you, when you're building your business to director, it's all about recruit. And it still is about recruit. But you have to add in that third leg of the stool. Now it is high PRV, recruit, build leaders. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck at director for years. Got to build leaders. And that is not easy. This is not easy, because we know the low percentage of people that actually get to director and above. So that goes back to recruit, like Miss Cassandra did last month and recruited like 10. I don't know. It was insane. That gives you some people to work with. I'm not saying recruit 10 a month, because let's be honest, we would all have a heart attack. 2 a month minimum, though. 2 a month minimum. I built my business on 2 new recruits a month on average. Some months I would recruit 5, 6, 8. But on average, like my goal was 2 a month and 2,000 PRV. Now, 2,000 PRV, like that was back before we even had Scentsy Club. So, at this point, I've got 1,200 PRV a month from Scentsy Club. So my goal should not be 2,000 PRV a month. My goal is 4,000 PRV a month. So if you're a leader, your minimum goal should be 2,000 PRV a month and 2 new recruits. If you want to scale your business, If you want to grow a business that is going to make you 6 figures a year and you're going to eventually have to turn into an LLC, that's what you got to do. 2 new recruits a month, 2,000 PRV minimum a month, and 2 new club subscribers a month. Those 3 things. It used to be 2 new recruits a month, 2,000 PRV a month, but now you have to add in 2 new Scentsy club subscribers a month, because that's a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. If you can start your month with hundreds or thousands of PRV, you have coming in from Scentsy Club. And if you're not working Scentsy Club and growing your club base, guess who else is not going to? Your team, your leaders. They're not going to see the value in Scentsy Club if you are not showing them that. And it's always been valuable, but now that we have the referral and rewards program, it's like 10 times more valuable, because that's actually helping you grow your network, grow your customer base. Before, it was like, yes, it's great that Scentsy Club creates these loyal customers, but you still have to party your butt off. But when you're a director and above, quite frankly, if you're doing your job as leader and coaching and training your team at least once a month and coaching your people individually, you don't have as much time to party. I have 1 party this month, and then I'm going to get some bag parties out while I'm going on vacation. But you don't have as much time to party. So you're either going to have to party differently, because you still need to party. Like, whether it's personal shopping links, I always have like 25 personal shopping links open. Whether it's personal shopping links, bag parties, whether you want to still do Facebook parties because you love them, whatever it is, you've still got to party. But it's not going to be on the level of, like, when you get to superstar director, you're not going to be partying 8 to 10 times a month like you were when you were a star consultant. So things are going to change a little bit, but you've got to figure out where to get your PRV from and how you're networking. Do not forget to network. When you get caught up in recruiting and coaching, it's so easy to forget the basics and stop networking. You've got to network. And the way you do that, have a system in place to where you can keep up every single week with how many new contacts you've added to your list. So for me, that's my text alert list. Every Friday, I go in and I add my new contacts to my text alert list and my email list. And it tells me you added 5 new contacts. You added 6 new contacts, however many. That tells me if I'm doing my job with networking or not. Yeah. Things change so much. As you evolve as a leader, things change so much. What else did I have on here? Focusing on IPAs, because IPAs are not just personal business anymore. They're leadership IPAs as well. So like I said, what's going to make you money as a leader? Coaching your team members, working with your team members, working with the team members who are working, not the ones who are going to say, okay, and then not go do it. The people who want it. Those are the ones that are going to make you money. Quality over quantity. But you have to have the quantity to find the quality. So if you're not recruiting consistently, you're not going to have the quantity to find the quality in, if that makes sense. But once you find that quality, those 2 people are going to build your business. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, that I cannot stress enough how important that is. That you cannot dwell on, I have 50 team members, but only 2 of them are working. Well, girl, you better work with those 2, and you better turn them into directors so that you can promote to star director. Text shortcuts, save emails that you need to send out regularly. Like, say you email your new lead consultants and send them tools when they promote to lead, or say you send a welcome email to every new recruit with a training guide, like I do. Like, whatever you do, save these emails in your notes section so that when you get a new recruit, you can run over to your notes section, copy that, paste it. You should not be typing out emails and welcome messages and all these things every single time you need it. That is a time sucker. So get smart with your time, be intentional, save text shortcuts. I have so many text shortcuts, y'all. Like, that's in your settings. If you go under general, keyboard, text replacement, like I have all of these. I don't even know if y'all can see that. I have all these text replacements that I use. I have one for people who earn shooting star, people who promote to each promotion, like a congrats text, a template for like my follow-ups for the beginning of the month for my team, but I'll change it up. Obviously, I'm going to make it more personal, but it's a starting point so that I'm not having to type all that out. I have a thank you for your order text, and it tells them that they can go to my sample form, fill that out, request samples. And I have one for people who request information on Scentsy Club. I have one that's saved for asking if they want me to open a personal shopping link for them. It's a whole thing saved. It types it all out. So like if I'm telling this person, so I type PSL and it types out all that. So it says, if you want, I can set up a personal shopping link for you that you can shop from and also share with your friends if you want. When it reaches 200 orders cumulatively, you'll earn at least 20 in free product and da-da-da-da. I typed 3 letters and it sent all that. So same thing with people who request information on Scentsy Club, my links. I don't even have to send, if somebody asks for my website, I just type PWS and it sends them my website. If somebody asks for the link to join Scentsy Club, I type in Scentsy Club all as one and it types out the link to go. Like, use these. I'm telling you. I have a message saved for new customers specifically. I have a message saved for new frontline roll-ups. So people who rolled up for my downline at the beginning of the month that I can message and say, hey, I'm your new sponsor. Yada, yada, da, da, da. Let's see. Just so many. Brag tag. I have one that is shortened as brag tag. It tells them to take a picture and tag me when they get their order. I have one for always get my bar. So I just have AGMB saved and it types out AGMB. Types out that sent is a limited time offer. So if you want to continue to get it after it sells out, you can create a Scentsy Club account and unlock lifetime access to it. You also get discounts on your purchases that way, and it doesn't cost to be a member. Do you want me to send you out a link to check it out? I typed 4 letters. So this is a huge deal. And it took me a long time to finally do these things. But now that I have, oh my God, it saves your brain too, because you're not even having to think about what you're sending them. You don't have to even think about, oh Lord, I have to type all this out, or oh, I have to send this long voice message. So, and I think you can even save voice memos like somehow, and you can even send those. But anyway, that is a huge time saver. You can also do that for like, if you feel like you're getting the same messages over and over from your team members or like the same questions, type out the answer and save that as a text shortcut. Just so many things you can do. And then in my notes section, I have a whole other ton of things saved in there. Let's see. Scripts and templates. We have a whole verbiage document in the group Google Drive. You can use that. You can share it with your teams. You can share it with your leaders. These are things that you can go in, copy, paste, save to your phone. Boom, it's done. Same thing with party templates and stuff like that. Save it to your notes section. I think that's it. Do you have any questions or anything to add? Y'all, I'm so ready to have an office so I can sit in a chair. I'm watching the chat just to see if you'll have any questions.
Are you able to hear me? Am I able to unmute myself?
Brittany, are you wanting to unmute? Oh, okay. It's not telling me, so I didn't know. Let's see. Oh, you are unmuted.
Can you hear
but
me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, hold on.
That's odd. Oh, well, everybody can hear you but me, apparently.
What about now?
Yes, you are
Okay.
very loud. I turned my volume all the way up.
Okay, so I was just going to say something that has been super useful for me, and I shared it with Morgan yesterday. I really have a hard time when it comes to like being consistent and coaching people who are not my front line, because Amy automatically prompts us only to check in with our front line. And so this weekend, I don't know why it never clicked with me, but whenever Jason was talking about you have to build first generation directors, and that's not frontline directors, that means that they can be 6 people under you, but you can coach them up to director. That counts as your first gen director. And so that really just clicked with me, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't focus so hard on only coaching the people that I sponsor. Maybe I should reach down and build those leaders in my downline. I don't know. Just the way he explained it, something was like, oh, wow, yeah, duh. So something that I figured out yesterday is when you go into your Amy app, when it like prompts you to send those messages to your frontline team members, if you'll go into your contacts tab and put in somebody in your downline's name and their phone number off of your workstation, just go to your contacts tab and Amy and do that. Then when you go to classify them, click on team member, and then even if there's 6 people below you, if you'll click on level 1, that'll automatically manually make them go into your queue to do those like monthly follow-ups. So when you're building leaders, I think that's going to be super beneficial for us in being consistent and working with leaders who are not just our frontline leaders.
Yes. Thank you. I love that. I was like, genius when she told me that yesterday. I was like, why have I never thought of that? Because like I love using custom categories and all that on Amy, but I've never thought about manually adding somebody to make them your frontline or whatever. So that's really cool. And I'm glad she brought that up, because that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't even know, because I still even get questions from like star directors about, does my first generation director have to be my frontline? Absolutely not. I have multiple first gen directors who they still have a sponsor in between them and me, or 2 sponsor, like a sponsor and their sponsor in between them and me. And that's because, like I adopted them as my frontline because their sponsor was MIA or their sponsor was a hobbyist or whatever, but I saw leadership qualities in them. And that is the importance of running those reports and identifying leaders. You're not supposed to just work with your frontline. You have to work with your downline. If I would not have dug down deep into my downline, we probably wouldn't have a Jill Mitchell star director. We probably wouldn't have a Whitney Griffin star director. We probably wouldn't have, I dug down because I saw that people were producing, or that they, that I would at least reach out to them because their director went MIA, or their sponsor was MIA, and I saw leadership qualities in them, or I saw them doing high PRV, or I saw them being paid at title or growing their team or whatever it was. Or I just reached out and said, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Because I felt like they had no leadership between me and them. That's how you find those people. And if you don't dig down into your downline, so many people can fall through the cracks. So don't feel like you're stepping on someone's toes or anything like that. Because guess what? That person that's 3 people down will be your first gen director when they promote to director, not their sponsors. Not their sponsor will no longer even make any money off them. So, yes, yeah. So a lot of people promote to star director or superstar director based off of first gen directors that were not their frontline. So your first gen director is just the first person who promotes to director from that leg, if that makes sense. Y'all have any more questions? Because now I done brought up a whole nother topic. I know we've been on here for a hot minute. Also, something on kind of on that topic that doesn't get talked about a whole lot that I also still get questions on. Once you have 3 generations deep of directors, you don't get paid on any more of them. So like I have some 4th and 5th generation directors from some of y'all that I don't get paid on anymore because I only get paid on the TWV of my 1st gen, my 2nd gen, and my 3rd gen. So like when you're a superstar director, the deepest you can get paid on is a 3rd gen. So that is why it's so important. You cannot just promote 8 1st gen directors and then rely on those people to grow, to promote more directors and grow deep, and then you stop, because guess what? You stop making money off of them eventually. You stop making money after 3rd gens, and then you don't have any more 1st gens coming in that you've developed. So it's just like when you're growing your front line. You've got to grow your front line wide, just like you have to develop your directors wide, which is going to be 1st gens, and then teach them to grow directors deep. I don't know if I've ever even talked about that. Maybe I have at some point, but. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna let y'all carry on with your Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday. I'm like looking at my watch that I don't have on, and I don't even know where it is. I don't even know where it's at. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a great rest of your day. I love y'all. Go figure out where you're spending your time, what you need to change, how you're going to fix your boundaries, how you're going to stick with your boundaries. And then on the topic too of building leaders and coaching leaders and training your team, these are income producing activities, but you cannot train your team and coach your team members if your personal business is not squared away. If you're not doing the PRV you're expected to do, and you're not networking and you're not recruiting, if you don't have both of those things squared away, if you're not selling, recruiting, you can't coach people, because you can't teach them something you're not even doing. So get your personal business squared away. Start with networking and PRV and recruiting. Once you get those squared away, then you can focus on coaching and training. So just a little tidbit. But I love y'all. Y'all have a great rest of your day.